guys you mix it in here. Hollywood Brown, okay. As a 3? Makai Lemon hasn't even seen the field yet, reportedly having a tough time putting it all together when he's not on the field, which is zero shock to me for any rookie. And people bring up a new offense, and they say, why does that matter with a rookie? Because this is all he'll know. Well, yeah, but when it's new to everybody, who is the rookie leaning on for help and understanding what the offense is doing? That's where the miscommunication could come in. So, yeah, I am very skeptical about the wide receivers after DeVonta Smith, as far as whether or not they can keep up with the extremely productive wide receiver position that we have seen here in Philadelphia over the last handful of years.
Boy, I'll tell you something about this Makai Lemon kid. I am not going to indict the kid on his ability. I can't. I've not seen it. I mean, it's been a 5-month train wreck for the kid since he's been an Eagle. I mean, the only other way that you could feel positive about it, he goes out there and he's Cooper DeJean impact. And you're like, holy cow. You know, when they put Cooper DeJean on that field, it like almost transformed the entire defense's attitude. Played faster, tougher, tackled great in space. The whole thing, it kind of like transformed that defense. Obviously, Q over on the other side. Those two guys, they shaped that. I don't feel that with this guy here. I mean, but you got to hope that. And in a year where you lose AJ, I can't think the Eagles are very happy with this right now, that this guy may not be there even for the opener versus the Commanders. I mean, this is troubling, dude. I mean, it's not an indictment on his career, but it's surely an indictment on the beginning of his career.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, you're drafting a wide receiver in the first round of the draft in the same year that you lose A.J. Brown. That right out of the gate is a lot of pressure on anybody to be drafted. Hey, you're going to be a wide receiver as we lose one of the best wide receivers in the game. Well, maybe the best wide receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, certainly in the Super Bowl era. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Replace that. And then you're also asking Sean Mannion, find a way to replace it. Like, not just replace, anywhere between, 1,000 to 1,400 yards, but find a way to replace that with one player. And then if you can't, find a way to replace that with several players. Oh, by the way, the several players you got, one of them you're familiar with in Dotavian Wicks from your Green Bay days. The other you're not at all in Marquise Brown. How do you put Elijah Moore out there as well? How do you put all this together to try to replace what you're losing in terms of production, in terms of numbers, and also an overall threat for a defense that, Makai Lemon's on the field. Let's make sure we really blanket him. How are you making sure that defenses are keying in on many targets like they have in years past? Because as of right now, I haven't seen any of that. And I haven't heard anything about anybody stepping up to take on that much of a workload and that much of a responsibility to make up for that kind of production.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Stud.
Do you believe he's a better ball player than Jahad Campbell right now?
No. Here's where you can get seduced by the preseason. He had a great game. You can't deny it. He went out there. He was asked to do the job. He did the job extremely well, taking blockers with him, getting into the backfield, getting pressures, run stuffs. Everything you say about Jeremiah Trotter when the Eagles originally drafted him was, well, you hope the son of a guy like that, like Jeremiah Trotter Sr.
Not the fastest guy either. That was a reason why he went in the 5th.
Mm-hmm. But you would hope a guy like that would have the instincts, because of dad, inherit that instinct. And man, a lot of times that does not happen. But Hatchet Man certainly has a lot of the same instincts as the Axe Man did. And he's faster than his father, certainly, and uses those instincts phenomenally well. I think he will have a very solid NFL career. Jahad Campbell played very well last year, and that's easy to forget when Nakobe Dean came back and Nakobe Dean played at a very high level. Jahad Campbell's getting another opportunity at doing that, and I see him as being a big-time playmaker for this defense. And I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. will certainly get his on this defense. He will certainly have flashes where he plays great. But I expect Jahad Campbell to have a very solid season this year, taking the reins in full from Nakobe Dean and playing back there with Zach Bond. The other thing is, I feel pretty good about this Philadelphia Eagles linebacking core, and I got to pinch myself because It was so long before you could really say that between good linebacking cores of the Philadelphia Eagles. And now you can look at this linebacking core and go, damn, you got guys that can play on the inside. You got guys that can play off ball. You got guys that can get into the backfield. You got guys that have good smarts, good instincts, and a very versatile Jihad Campbell, to go back to him as well. I don't see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. beating out Jihad Campbell for that spot. I think in time he might, see more snaps as the season goes on. But I think Jihad Campbell goes out there and has himself one hell of a season.
And it was interesting to see him out there playing the only starter on Saturday, because it made me go like this with what Vic was saying. Because remember, he did lose his job to Dean. He was healthy, and when Dean came back, they sat his ass. Yeah. And so for me, I mean, I think they wanted to see both those guys playing next to one another. They played 14 snaps, then they put him in there, and I thought both of those guys looked pretty good. Now, maybe it's going to be more of an indictment one day on Vaughn, but listen, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to beat out Campbell, but I think what he's done, I think he's elbowed his way into the conversation of getting reps and snaps this year on playing on that position, which makes him, in my opinion, like you just said, a deep group. So I think he's pushed himself into playing time. Vic does that. Look at the guys. I'll tell you what, he's falling in love with Michael Carter. I mean, you hear him talking all the time about Michael Carter, that he feels pretty good putting him in the nickel slot there. I mean, so I think Trotter's playing himself in the reps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind is also Jihad Campbell's experience at edge. If they could have a situation where all three, Vaughn, Trotter, as well as Campbell, are on the football field. That's something I would love to see a couple of times throughout the season. And I think you will see that a couple of times more than a couple of times throughout the season, maybe a couple of times throughout a game. So yeah, I think they're really set at that spot, but I agree with you on Michael Carter II. One of the things that's on heavy rotation in my mind when trying to understand what Vic Fangio is doing as a defensive coordinator and really what he has done throughout his career is really identify the guys that truly have versatility, not just ability at other positions, but people that truly have versatility at other positions. Cooper DeJean is certainly that. That's probably the perfect example for all Eagles fans. They know how versatile he's been asked to be. Michael Carter II, another guy, when you talk about possibly being a safety, but also being a nickel, that's something that we all know Vic Fangio really adores and loves having that in his defense. And you're right. He has absolutely gushed over what Michael Carter could possibly do in his defense for the full year. And it's funny. I even look back, and he plays on the outside, but I forgot Jacorian Bennett was even here before he got hurt in the preseason game. You haven't heard his name at all. So not that he would play on the inside, but it's another potential corner when you talk about a guy coming in here and taking any amount of a snap away from a guy like Michael Carter.
It's A.J. Brown week, just in case you've been living under a rock in Philadelphia here.
Yeah.
So if this gives, trash can starters tremendous content for guys like me. Okay, so I will clearly go back into my stirring the pot here a little bit. All right, so let's revisit this. A.J. Brown, why is he not an Eagle?
A.J. Brown.
Huh. Okay, you don't blame Nick or Jalen for this?
No, and I don't blame them in the least bit. Because
Why?
A.J. Brown is a fanboy. He is a Patriots fanboy. He loves the Patriots. He loves Mike Vrabel, and he wants to add to his own legacy with numbers that he is not going to get at the rate here in Philadelphia, that he is going to get at the rate that he will get them in New England. Sills, I have never had faster closure potentially in anything in life, whether it's personal or professional.
Oh no, you went to the slam on the arm wrestler right here with this.
I went to the second I saw his interview, because I did the same. I was battling, maybe if Jalen aired it out a little bit more and didn't check away from AJ to give the ball to Saquon more. Maybe if Nick didn't get in his face at the end of that playoff game, And then the second he did that interview with Maria Taylor after he was traded to the Patriots, and they got the overhead shot of the Patriots fan cave rug.
Dude, the rug has been an issue for you, dude. The rug has been an issue.
I just looked at that. And look, if you're an Eagles fan, you're probably an Eagles fan watching this right now, good for you, okay? But if you're an NFL wide receiver and you've played for 2 other teams and you've won a Super Bowl with one of them, and you were one of the highest paid wide receivers, one of the highest producing wide receivers, and you have been in 2 Super Bowls, you're going to honestly go, this place sucks. I can't wait to get out of here. No, the only thing he wanted to do was go play with Mike Vrabel, and he wanted to play with Drake May because by his own admission after they won a Super Bowl, the only thing that truly mattered to him was his legacy. And when he said legacy, we all know exactly what that meant. It didn't mean like 3 Super Bowls. It meant, maybe I'll get a Super Bowl, but I'll definitely get numbers. The minute I saw that rug, I swear, Sills, I never had closure faster in any walk of life where I just saw that and went, oh, he's a nerd. I get it. He just wanted to be the Patriot. Nick Sirianni can't turn himself into Mike Vrabel. Jalen Hurts is not going to turn himself into Drake May. The only place he could find happiness was with the New England Patriots. And when you see him play last year, it all just makes perfect sense. The ball he gave up on in against Denver, against the Broncos, the balls he gave up on throughout the rest of the season, the amount of times Jalen Hurts would try to force the ball from him or to him just to shut him up. A lack of effort, even in the Bills game in the first quarter when they had a touchdown right there. He's getting tugged from behind, doesn't do anything to try to draw attention to it or plead for a flag. Just little things like that. The way he played in the playoffs, for crying out loud. The number one reason A.J. Brown is not a Philadelphia Eagle is A.J. Brown.
And so you turned the page on this one here. So let me get this right.
Moment of clarity.
In your opinion, they'd rather be lesser talented at the position than deal with Brown.
Well, let's put it like this.
Because that's what they are.
A.J. Brown as a Philadelphia Eagle is dead. All right. A.J. Brown as a Philadelphia Eagle is dead.
He's dead to me.
And A.J. Brown, and it's like the Chris Rock line. It's one of my favorite lines ever.
He's dead to me.
Chris Rock. It's one of my favorite lines. It's like,
you couldn't be more Italian with this line here. This guy's dead to me. He's dead to me.
No, but in all seriousness, like Chris Rock has one of my favorite lines about it. He's like, yeah, women always complain about chivalry. Yeah, chivalry is dead, and women kilt it. And I just think that's one of my favorite lines ever. But A.J. Brown. The A.J. Brown as a Philadelphia Eagle is dead, and A.J. killed it. A.J. Brown would not have been anything that we had seen in the past. As less of a you-know-what that he gave last year, he would have given probably 5 times less this year. Like, that A.J. Brown wasn't coming in here and, getting 1,400 yards, getting 9 touchdowns. Like, that A.J. Brown was this is why it was really a miracle that they got a first round pick back, because literally the only place that really wanted him was New England above anybody, and willing to pay that price because the Eagles weren't going to get first round production from A.J. Brown this season. Like, it was over. It was dead.